Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Andzen Approach. My name is Jason, director here at Andzen, and today we're joined from the team from JustUno. We've got Erik, who's CEO and co-founder of JustUno, and Caleb, who is our partner manager at JustUno. I'm also joined with Brendan, as always, founder of Andzen.
Thanks, Jason. Erik, Caleb, good to have you guys here. Shop Talk Vegas, how good?
Yeah, we were literally just catching up, talking about some customer journey things, points for 2025, and we happened to be in the room with all the studio set up, and Erik, you basically just said, we need to stop this conversation right now, start rolling the cameras and record this conversation. So, I mean, that's what we're doing, basically. So I think, let's get into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were talking about journeys, right? And some key areas. I think I was saying that for us, what we're seeing is merchants still have a really big blind spot on their site when it comes to collection pages. A lot of merchants don't have automation set up to win back traffic that's abandoned on a collection page. But you guys with the JustUno platform, I mean, you guys have been around for a long time in the pop-up space, but I would say I think of you guys more about the commerce kind of in pop-ups, right? And the experiential kind of site. If you're abandoning or if something's happening, what are we doing to gather data, but also lead people along to placing their order? So I'm keen to hear a bit about how you guys are approaching that from an on-site perspective.
Yeah, well, good to be hanging with you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I think last time was LA.
LA, yeah, last year.
You guys travel. These two gentlemen travel more than anyone in the industry. And they're always so jolly.
Yeah, you get used to it.
With all the equipment too.
Yeah. We got the whole studio in our back pockets, man.
Yeah, I mean, with JustUno, we're going on our 15th year.
Yeah.
And after 10 years, we recognized we needed to rebuild our platform.
Mm-hmm.
So, 4 years in after rebuilding, as we looked at the market where it is today and looking at the success of email marketing and their ability to build out marketing automation, building visitor segments, flows, workflows, everything, our approach was, well, let's take that same concept and apply it to the on-site experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Digital marketers, they need, when it comes to personalization, like we're talking about, it's daunting.
Yeah.
And you need automation.
Yeah.
And so that was our approach. And so as we look at, okay, well, where do you start? Let's look at your visitor segments.
Yeah.
And where's the money?
Yeah.
And that's why I was so excited to hear you when I asked you, when we talk about visitor journey, where are you guys focusing?
Yeah.
Where do you want to focus? And let's talk about cart abandoners.
Yeah. I think, it's an obvious one, right? These are your most qualified leads that don't convert. So it's the lowest hanging fruit possible. And I think traditionally what merchants have been told is, you set up an abandoned cart flow and that's great. And the conversation just ends there.
Yep.
But no one's saying, well, what should the on-site experience be if someone built a cart at breakfast and then they open that tab back up on their phone at dinner? Are we just hoping that, the cookie is still there, that they're on the same device, that the cart is still there waiting for them? Or are we going to do something proactive to identify that this person might be on the edge and they've come back and we've got an opportunity to push them through?
Yeah, and how does that experience change slightly?
Yeah.
Knowing that information.
Yeah.
You did a great breakdown, the difference between browse abandonment, cart abandonment. I think that'd be good for you to throw that out because it's not clear in the industry, and also clarifying when we talk about cart abandonment, most digital marketers think email marketing.
Yeah.
They don't think on-site. So you have to put that word on-site in front of everything now.
And an even further layer there, Jason, the difference between the add to cart component and the actual browser abandonment.
Yeah. So I think if you're listening and what we're talking about here is this is a technical way that Shopify and Klaviyo and the systems talk to each other. So the way the integration actually works is that when we talk about abandoned cart, usually what people are talking about is abandoned checkout, which is the actual action of someone putting a product in their cart, going to the checkout in Shopify. It's a completely separate metric tracked between Shopify and Klaviyo when people add products to their cart. And if you add a product to your cart but you don't make it to checkout, a lot of merchants don't have a flow to address that, and that's just a missed opportunity straight away. So we call that cart abandonment or added to cart abandonment. And then the next layer above that is browse, right? So, I mean, this is actually something that a lot of merchants do have. If someone browses a product page and then they abandon, most people are pretty used to that. If you take it a layer above, what very, very few people are talking about is a collection page abandonment. A lot of merchants, their collection page is actually the highest revenue generating page, because these days you have those quick shop add to cart buttons on the collection page, and someone can add 2 or 3 products to their cart very quickly and never go to a product page. And so if people are looking at that collection page and they don't add something to cart and then they leave the site, again, that's a massive missed opportunity for a merchant. And one of my favorite things about emails, that automation sequence that we can build in email, is we know what collection it is. So we can surface that collection back up in the email. And we're actually creating that on-site shopping experience in the email. And obviously the best next step is they see a product that they like in that email, they click, they're landing on the product page. So they're already one step deeper by the time they restart their session on site. But I think to your point, Eric, well, okay, great. Like, we've got them back on site, but what are we doing in that on-site session to make sure this time they go all the way through to sale and they don't just look at the product again, get distracted, reading a review, something like that, dinner's ready, they get a text message. What are we going to do to make sure that we capture the attention and we drive the sale in that session?
So I want to rewind for a second. So even going back to the components of adding to cart, or the component of actually abandoning a cart from an on-site perspective, as the agency, a lot of your focal point is going to be, hey, what's the remarketing after somebody's left? What steps or actions are you taking for the merchants during that action? Like, let's say they added something to cart, they show you signs of leaving the website, or they're showing signs of bouncing around from a few different pages, and then they're showing signs of exiting. Are there steps that are taken prior to them actually exiting, or then do you incorporate just the marketing component?
Exit intent is something that we're big about. Like, we kind of push every merchant that we work with to not just have, a new visitor pop up, but at the very least also have an exit intent pop up. But oftentimes that is where it ends. And for merchants as well, they've only got so much time, and we're coming to them with strategies around post-purchase retention, and what are you doing in your welcome series, and how are we collecting more first-party data, and what are we doing to do SMS as well as email. We need it to be simple for a merchant when we say, here is what we want to do on site and why. Because they need to be able to make those decisions quickly. They don't have all day to research it themselves, right? Which is, I guess, ultimately where tools like JustUno come in, is we're able to show, like, well, here's the tool, here's how we set it up. We can get these things into market quickly, and the analytics are built into the platform to tell us whether it's working or not.
What percentage of your customers would you say know what their current cart abandonment rate is, number of carts, dollar value, and that sales conversion rate of that visitor segment?
Very few. Yeah, off the top of their head, I would say very few merchants, if we just sat them down and asked them that question, maybe only 20 to 30%.
A lot of them are going through a checkbox exercise, like, is this set up?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Is this set up? Yes or no? And then, like, our reporting in the month, I guess, showing the value, showing the conversions. I think we start taking them on that journey at that point. But I think from the get-go, it is less around how is each of those performing, and more like, is it set up? Yes or no? Yeah. And in some cases, they're not even aware of the nuances between those different.
Yeah.
It was Q4. Klaviyo had their benchmark report where they had 2 of their top 5 flows, and the number 1 flow was their cart abandonment emails.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you think it's going to take if we know it works offsite?
Yeah.
What's it going to take for us to get
people
marketers
bought
to
in to do it on site?
Yeah,
it's a good question. I mean, education is like an easy answer to just say, but what does that mean in practical terms? I think what's key is going to be a simple implementation that isn't going to make a merchant afraid of a negative impact on conversion rate.
Sure.
Usually when we're talking to, particularly I would say if a merchant's big enough that they have like an e-com manager and a digital marketing manager, and they're a bit more in the weeds on the analytics because, you know, it's their job. That actually those moments between a product being added to cart and getting to checkout, they can be very defensive of those moments because anything that you put in the way could become an obstacle, right? So they need to feel really confident that anything that we're suggesting is nuanced enough and targeted enough that it's going to help them in those abandonment sections, but not disrupt the conversion traffic.
And there's like the shift from CRO happening from, you know, either internal dev or with a dev agency, right? And that's on like site deployment or maybe site update to a shift to on-site personalization tools that incorporate the ability for marketers to come in and tweak and test and try to improve CRO. And I think that's what we're looking at with JustUno, right?
Yep.
Giving the power into the marketers rather than it being a historical look back from a set of devs or a dev agency. And, you know, not to shit on devs because obviously they build the site.
Let me tell you, I'll tell you.
Definitely not to our dev agency partners.
Yeah.
But, you know, like there's a reality. Like, this is live. You can do it on the fly. You can have a marketing agency or you can do it internally with your marketing team. And it's proactive and less
versus reactive.
Yep.
Well, I'm reflecting back because how many, like you mentioned it, how many web managers, digital marketers are handcuffed by a CTO?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of CTOs not controlling their Telium account, not letting anyone into it, any marketers into it because they didn't want to screw up their website.
Yeah.
JustUno was founded on the basis that I used to have to chase, it would take me 2 to 3 weeks to get a coupon up on our Sierra Snowboard website.
Yeah.
Because it had to go through, I had to get a developer to put it up.
Yeah.
And then it had to go on staging, it had to get tested. And by the time it got live, the promotion was over.
Yeah.
So I just used our forums to rank it up.
Yeah,
But that's where JustUno was really founded, based on giving a digital marketer a real-time tool. They can log in and make changes to their website.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not too dissimilar, I guess, to our relationship with Klaviyo. I mean, before then, we had marketers building flowcharts, getting them signed off, and then sending them over to our engineers who would custom build it using APIs.
Yeah.
There was no drag and drop flow building at all. We were still doing it, but it was a very time-consuming and very expensive exercise for the merchant. Bring out a tool like Klaviyo where you could start, the marketers could build the flows in there, and then the customers could interact with that, or the merchants could interact with that. The costs and time just plummeted.
Yep.
Do you build out do you have a visual flow of your custom on-site experience like we just talked about with the card abandonment?
Yeah, so we do, when we present data capture, we often present it alongside what we want to do on the nurture piece. And so we will visually build into a flow where those data capture forms are going to sit, and then at what point that form might inject someone into a welcome series. Because we might have forms that are dedicated to capture returning customers that aren't opted in for marketing, and that might be unincentivized. And so we're not necessarily putting them, we want them to get some sort of welcome email because we want to set expectations about the marketing that they've just signed up for, but we don't need them to go through a 6-part brand onboarding series, right? Versus that new visitor who's going to get a welcome email that's focused on a 10% discount and maybe some product discovery, and then they're going into a multi-step sequence. And then again, versus someone who signed up for email but not SMS, or SMS but not email. So we have to kind of make it visual so that the merchant, they're easy to see, like, okay, here are the range of forms that are going to be appearing and the rules around them, and then where they're going to be injected into like the marketing.
But specifically on site, we're probably not doing as much as we could around what a customer journey is on site.
Yeah.
No one is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what excites me, is that there's still so much opportunity with the on-site experience.
Yeah.
Speaking in agency land specific, because that's primarily who I'm dealing with service partners who bring JustUno to their merchants. The challenge that I have faced in these conversations of incorporating an on-site component for cart abandonment, for browser abandonment, oftentimes they build out the cart abandonment flows for the remarketing purpose. So they're like, hey, look, we don't necessarily want to have an impact on cart abandonment on the cart abandonment engagements when somebody leaves the website. So we're reluctant to incorporating something on site because we can't say that came from us. So how do you combat a discussion where a marketing agency has concerns that incorporating the on-site component as a 1-2 punch to the cart abandonment series? How do you tell a story where it's like, hey, this is still going to have a positive impact, not just for the merchant, but for the marketing agency's overall results for said merchant?
Founded in 2012, Klaviyo is the only CRM built for B2C brands. Powered by our built-in Klaviyo data platform and AI insights, Klaviyo combines marketing automation, analytics, and customer service into one unified solution, making it easy for businesses to know their customers and grow faster. Klaviyo helps relationship-driven brands of all sizes deliver one-to-one experiences at scale, improve efficiency, and drive revenue. Chat to the team at Andzen or visit andzen.co/KLAVIYO to find out more and get started.
I think Jason might have a more technical answer, but I think broad strokes from an agency perspective, we don't necessarily care about where the attribution happened, whether it's with JustUno on platform or with Klaviyo via email. For us, it is about the revenue and the overall conversion. And something, I guess our metric is our attribution. What did we put in place? What was our strategy, both on-site and email, SMS? So I think for us, it doesn't matter. But
we look at a lot of stats year on year as well, which is something that we talk to a lot of merchants and they're so focused on what happened last month with revenue and what's happening this month. But we try to encourage merchants to say well, actually what was your list growth in this month year on year? Because seasonality is important. And it's interesting because some merchants will be like, we went from January to February, revenue was down for whatever reason, maybe the seasonality of their product. But actually, if you look year on year, list growth was up 30%, revenue was up 15% or whatever it might be. We encourage merchants to look at things like their conversion rate as well, because at the end of the day, even Klaviyo's reporting, it's based on 5 days of someone opening an email, right? It's assisted revenue at the end of the day. The idea that any one channel is directly responsible for any conversion that you have is just a myth. It's not real anymore. You need to be thinking all of my channels need to be working together. And really the most important thing is what percentage of the total traffic over 30 days is converting.
Well, and the question is, where does that traffic all come together? It's the website. And so as you look at all your channels that you're managing, building out visitor segments based off each channel, we call it mirror marketing, where you're sending these email campaigns, social campaigns, whatever they are. As that visitor segment comes into the site, you want to speak to them specifically to what that message was and reinforce it. That to help them continue that experience on. So they, what is personalization? In years past, it had kind of people are a little afraid of it. Now people demand it.
Hey, Eric.
Well, it's crazy now.
I know you're there.
Why did I just get a mail or a postcard in the mail with the product I was looking at? Even now with anonymous visitor identification, I was explaining to my buddies on Sunday at a barbecue what we're up to. And my buddy's like, I got an email from a site I visited, and I didn't give him anything, and it freaked me out. I'm like, that's what we're doing today.
We know about you.
You give me your email address, and I know everything about you.
And it is a whole dark corner of the internet where you don't have to give your email.
You can identify. 20%.
Look at retention.com. They come
Customers,
in, there's an email scraping component to it without ever even inputting it. But then that incorporates the overall quality of the lead that you're getting, right? Hey, look, if you can go scrape something, great, but how do you find a way to engage with an audience that actually wants to engage with you, and you can help move them down funnel because they are the right persona that wants to make a purchase with your brand?
How do you, it's always a balance. How do you respond to a client that says, I just want to get my list to 500,000?
We don't use the term as much anymore, but back in the day, particularly when we were a platform, we used to talk a lot about the concept of permission-based marketing. And that if you don't have permission to market to someone, it's a damaging brand experience. You're more likely to lose that customer forever than you are to convert them. And so if you want to just set a metric of saying like, we want X number of new subscribers, you know, you could run a sweepstakes, you could do whatever, you know, it is to get up to that number. The damage on deliverability that you might get could be huge. So then you're impacting campaign revenue in a negative way. Also these days, a lot of these email softwares, they're not as cheap as they used to be.
Absolutely.
You know? And so then you're negatively impacting ROI. And for what? You know, like just because you were giving away a PlayStation if they signed up, and that doesn't have anything to do with your
back in the day
surfboard
for
brand.
us, it wasn't even about sort of giveaways. It was about just scraping the internet and importing, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of email addresses and just spamming.
Literally spamming.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where that permission marketing term come from originally. But I think now it's a lot more prevalent with like GDPR, permission marketing, like making sure that people are aware of what they're opting into. Yes, there's still gray areas. There's still like list promotion techniques, database growth.
Sure.
I think my particular perspective, and I think we were talking about this before, Eric, is how much money is this making, right? Like the list size doesn't necessarily matter. Sure, it might be an early indicator of future success because you've got the database, but what are they buying? What's the lifetime value? What's the conversion rate? I think we as a whole care a lot more about money because our clients care about money.
Yeah.
I had an interesting conversation with a merchant recently, and what came up, what I was talking to them about or trying to educate them on is that these days you need to look at your database as like a bit of a fluid thing. So traditionally when we talk to people about, you know, hey, you've got this disengaged segment and you're paying for them, but the open rate is really fractional, it's probably damaging your deliverability. We should just suppress those people, move them out of your regular BAU campaigns, and we'll have these improvements over here. That's true. And a lot of email agencies will recommend that to people, but then those people that were suppressed, the conversation is just over.
Yeah.
We're just going to quote unquote, clean that data up, and then we're going to move on with our lives. The reality is that, yeah, sure, that data should maybe be suppressed, but maybe there's a bunch of customers in there that are really discount driven and they want to shop with you every Black Friday and buy in bulk. And just because they haven't shopped in the last, 6 months and maybe they're not opening emails, well, yeah, suppress them, but then just unsuppress them, in September, October, and warm them back up into Black Friday and see if you can win them back. And if they go dormant again by January, then suppress them again. But you're doing it in a dynamic way. It's not, they don't have to be engaged or dead to your brand, right?
I'm hearing a business model because we used to always talk about, hey, let's just export them out, throw them in Constant Contact or MailChimp for like super cheap.
Yeah.
Send them in that. But of course, we never did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe there needs to be an ESP that's just you send 5 times a year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these days even that's difficult because honestly, like deliverability and like Hotmail and Gmail, they'll pick up on that. Like if you start suddenly sending from a different brand domain or different
That's
IPs, they're measuring that now.
Yep.
So you kind of need to find a way to do it organically. But the client that I was talking to, the example that I think made it really stark is this merchant was very, very conscious of all of their analytics. And so they pay a lot of attention to bounce rate, spam complaint rate, things like that. And what they were doing is when they were seeing these higher rates of disengagement, they were really proactively cleaning their list. Like every 30 days, they were removing people. But then once every month, they would send an email to basically their full list of opted in people.
Okay.
And we did a comparison for them over 12 months. We looked at those engagement segments that they were sending to. Amazing, like open rates, the top engaged segment, which was subsequent, like it was like 50,000 people. Their open rate was above 90% over 12 months, right? Fantastic. Wow. But when you tallied up all the revenue, 80% of their revenue had come from these engaged segments, but there was still about 20% of revenue that came from that monthly send that just went to everybody. And so there's incremental value there if you're paying attention to that segment every month. Whereas if you're just deleting them, you're potentially losing that incremental value over the course of a year, and that could be significant.
What came to mind hearing you describe that is who you work with makes a difference. Do they care about this? I asked the question about, we had a client that just wanted to get to a certain number, but their role was just an email marketer within a company. Two-part question, like what different titles are you working with in these companies to bring this together? Because it is holistic. There's multiple departments involved, and it really takes leadership to drive the building the sustainable
takes a full scope
business.
Understanding.
Yeah. What do you look for when you're talking with clients or prospective clients? What is that profile of a company that gets it right now?
Yeah, generally speaking, we would like to have a founder in the room if we can.
Sure.
At least when we're talking about the strategy piece, because you want buy-in from someone who understands the value and the actual bottom line of the business, and maybe not just a marketer who's concerned with the metrics, right? And you're right, because at the end of the day, if you get KPI'd on that as an employee, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Right. And
exactly.
There needs to be a CMO or an e-com manager, a head of digital in there who's placing those metrics together so that they're building the entire building, right? Not just having that individual CRM manager.
Which comes down to sales.
Of course. But, we also find it difficult to bring on a deal when we're dealing directly with like a CTO or a CFO. Right? Like, yes, those are important roles, and we have to get those checks off, and it has to make financial sense and has to make money. But I think Jason hits it with a founder's is across the brand, is generally across the customers, and needs to make money. It's got bills to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to impact that, which will
Yeah.
impact that, which will impact the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's not to say we don't, and, it's segment 2, SME, upper SME. You are working generally with founders. As you start getting bigger, mid-market enterprise, pretty rarely.
Yeah.
But normally at those levels, head of e-com, head of marketing, CMOs, they're generally pretty switched on. Like, they understand the metrics.
Yeah. I mean, nothing's guaranteed in marketing, right? Which, like, when a CFO or a CTO is in the room, that can be a difficult conversation. But at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, like even the on-site piece that you were talking about earlier with the cart abandonment, right? Like, it's just logical. Like, it just makes sense.
Yep.
The question is, you want to hear is, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And how can we simply outline it?
Yeah. How did no one think of this before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we still here today?
Right. You heard it here first, folks. JustUno, Andzen. Let's go.
Yeah.
Game on. Should we go gamble at the tables then?
Yeah. I mean, last time I was here, I'll say I'd never played craps before, and we just walked up to a craps table, and I left with about 3 times the money that I put down. And so in my mind, craps is free money.
Yeah, you can't lose at craps.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Jason, I'm not gambling on you this weekend, okay? It's the famous last words in Vegas.
I don't know. I mean, I just said that I print free money, so
I've got a $1 Luxor chip in my pocket from last year.
yeah, nice. There you go.
So good having you on, guys.
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for
you so
joining us.
much.
Thanks for the impromptu pod, jumping on and recording our thoughts.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers.
See you soon.